Hey there, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today I'm going to show you how to make some fast cards. Could be Valentine's cards, could be love cards, using your Cricut Joy. Now we're going to be using an SVG file that I designed, so it's pretty intricate, and because of that, there are some considerations that you have to make in order to use the Joy to cut this file. So I will talk about those as we go along. First, let's start off by uploading the file. So I'm going to go over here to the left-hand toolbar and I'm going to click Upload. And I'm going to upload image. Then I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to open the file. And there you see it. It's a straight SVG, so it should upload no problem. And you can change the name and the tag and add tags if that would help you. And you'll see it shows up as my most recent upload on the left here. So I'm going to click on it to select it, and then I'm going to click Add to Canvas. Now I'm going to give this file away for free through the end of February 2020. So if you are watching this after that, it will be available hopefully in my store. So you can go to my website and check to see if you can find it if you're interested in purchasing it. Anyway, here it is. You can see it's come in, and you might notice on the toolbar that everything is grouped as one group because they're all selected. Like when I click off and then I click on, it selects everything. So the first thing we need to do is ungroup. And then for whatever reason, files always come in at a different size than what I saved them at. So we're going to have to change the size of these cards. So this is a slimline card design, and it should be an A2 size card. So A2 size cards are 4 1/4 inches by 5.5 inches. So I'm going to change that by going up to the size area up here. The lock is locked. So if I change the width, the height will change proportionally, and I'm going to change this to 4.25. And you'll see the height changes to 5.5. And then the slimline version, in my world, everybody kind of does slimline different, but I'm doing 9 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So I'm going to change the width to 9, and you'll see the height changes to 3.75. And then for the greetings, you only have to change the width on these. These should be 1.75. And then same on the second one. Okay, so now we are good to go. So we're only going to make one card today, and I'm going to make this A2 sized card. So I'm going to move the I love you on top of the heart. They are designed to fit on the heart, both greetings. As you can see here, the heart is the same size on both versions of the card fronts. So what I'm going to do, I think that looks pretty good, is I'm going to slice this out of the heart. So I'm going to remove the greeting from the black cardstock. However, because this is grouped right now, you can't slice it. Slicing only works with 2 layers. So you can slice 1 layer out of 1 layer below it. Hope that makes sense. So that means we need to take this I love you and make it into 1 layer. So to do that, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to hit weld. All right, so it turns into 1 flattened layer basically. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to hold down my Control key or Command on a Mac, select the card front, the A2 size card front. I'm going to go down to the bottom lower right here and select Slice. And then you'll see the slice results here up on the top. So we've got 3 different slice results. So the first one is the original saying. Then we've got the card front with the saying sliced out of it, and then we have what's left. So we have the saying now in black. Don't need that, so I'm going to just hit the X to delete it. So what I want to cut out is just this card front. So I'm going to hide the other 3 elements. We don't need to cut those right now. So to do that, I'm going to just go over here, and this little eye icon on each layer. I'm going to click that, the greeting, and hide it by clicking on the eye. Hide the Be Mine group, and then I'm going to hide the slimline card front. So you might be wondering, well, wouldn't it be easier to, you know, have this be larger and just cut it as a card, like an insert card kind of with the Joy? Well, that's not going to work well for this design. And the reason is because there's a lot of small cuts in this, you need to use a lightweight cardstock, or actually like what I would suggest is using something like a scrapbook paper. So slightly thicker than copy paper or printer paper, but not as thick as an actual cardstock, because the Joy really can't cut this design in anything heavier than that. Believe me, I tried. It does okay with sort of, you know, light and medium cardstock, but you'll definitely have some areas that will like tear and that you'd have to repair. So I don't advise that, especially if you want to make cards kind of quickly. That's why we're only going to cut this as the card front, and then I'll make a separate card base just by cutting and folding paper that we can put this on top of. All right, so let's move forward. So I'm going to hit make it. I am set on my Joy. When it asks you how do you want to load all the materials, you're going to do it on mat, hit continue, and here you'll see it now laid out on the 4.5 by 6.5 mat. Now I'm going to pull this down just a touch. I'm not going to cut this out of black, but I just didn't bother to change the fill color, so we can see it's in black. And now I'm just going to hit continue. So it connects to my Joy, and then it asks me to set the base material. So I'm going to go to browse all materials. So I did say we were going to use paper, but to cut or set the material, I'm actually going to go to the cardstock section, and I'm going to choose light cardstock and hit done. The pressure setting on light cardstock is good for the scrapbook paper that I'm using. So that's my suggestion as far as what you should set the material to. Leave the pressure at default. So now I just have to load my foam point blade and my mat, get it all ready to go. So let's head on over to the machine. Okay, so I'm over here at my Joy, and I've got a few things I want to talk to you about. First is the paper that I am using. It is a pattern paper. It's very lightweight. Again, like thicker than copy paper, but not as thick as cardstock. It comes from the Softly Spring collection from Gina K. I will link that in the video description with the supplies. I have my StandardGrip mat. Now this is really dirty, but it is very sticky. Like I restuck it recently. I used the Zig 2A glue pen to do that. I'll have a video on how to do that in the future. But so this is really sticky, and it's very important that you have a very sticky mat, because as the machine cuts, you don't want the paper pulling away from the mat at all, and that can cause problems. I know, believe me. So I'm going to stick this down towards the top, and then I'm going to take my brayer and I'm going to just brayer it to make sure it is really, really on the mat. All right, so now I'm just going to load it into the machine. And over in the software, I'm going to click go. Might have messed up the cut a little bit on the Y, on the U, but otherwise it looks pretty good. So I'm going to unload it. Alright, so let's see what we got. Flip my mat over, and I'm going to take my spatula and just carefully try to peel this away from the paper, or the mat. Okay, so the only place it didn't cut real well is the Y here. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to grab my craft knife and mat and just fix that really quick. Okay, so there we go. All right, and then the other fun thing about this that I really like is that you have all these extra hearts left over that you can peel off the mat and use for another project. Before I assemble this into a card, I want to talk a little bit about how to properly use this design on some other cardstock as a base. And in terms of color, because we're using a patterned paper here, I think a solid is the easiest thing to go with as what goes underneath it. But I want to talk about how you really need to do something that's contrasting with the pattern on the front, the color and the pattern on the front, so that you can really see it when it's on the card. So like you can see how the green really contrasts with the pink on the front. You can see the pattern really nicely. If we go to something like this, which is a pale pink that you would think would coordinate really nicely with this, it's hard to see the pattern. I mean, you can see it, and in person it's even easier to see, but not the best choice. So I'll put that one to the side. Now you can go with a darker pink. We're getting a little bit better, but again, not great. White isn't too bad. You can see the pattern. However, I don't think white is the best choice just because it's not the most contrasting. So obviously I think going with a darker color is going to be the better way to go. So I really like the purple because you can really see the design now. And then we can also go with a darker pink if you want to keep in the like pinks or reds family for Valentine's Day, and you can see the pattern really nicely on that as well. So I just wanted to give you that tip as far as how to use this design or any kind of really intricate design that you're cutting out of something and putting on top of something else. So I always check before I start to make sure that I've got the right color to go with the top layer. So I think I'm actually going to go with the purple, and I'm going to turn this into a card base, and then we will assemble everything. Okay, so I've got my purple card base ready to go, and I'm going to just basically glue this on top of the card base, and then I have my extra pieces over here on the mat that will add to the insides of the letters. So I'm using my favorite glue. It's art glitter glue, and it's got this really sharp point or tiny tip on it. And it allows you to get some pretty small dots of glue out. And especially with this lighter paper, I don't want to oversaturate the paper. So I'm just going to kind of add a light layer of glue because there's a fair amount of solid space on this. I'm not going to worry too much about the outline hearts. I might just kind of get some dots on the more solid areas. This does dry kind of fast, so I'm a little worried. I'm just going to try to line up the top and the side. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now I've got the little pieces for the inside of the letters that I'm going to add. Just using my fine point tweezers to pick those up. Top of the E. Now I lost the little opening for down here in the U or the Y. So what I'm gonna do is I took the little heart that was in the eye and I'm gonna put that down here. Just thought it was kind of cute. I actually think it looks pretty good just the way it is. It's pretty cute. I'm going to add just a couple of these little gems, like crystal gems, around the greeting only, because I don't think we really need much more. Like so. And then I'm just going to add a few hearts to the inside to finish it off. Okay, so there's our finished card, very cute. And then I wanted to show you that I made the same card using just a different color palette. And I would say this would be more of like a masculine version. And so I didn't add anything extra to this, I just left it as is, and I think it's actually pretty cute just like that. And then I also did a slimline version using just plain cardstock. I didn't use any patterns, but I did add some light, I cut the front again using some lightweight glitter paper, and it just added those in to some of the hearts, and also cut the greeting out of that and added an offset in Design Space to the greeting so I could offset it and have it show up better on the light pink. So I think the glitter adds a lot of visual interest to what might be a little bit plain, just because it's just using plain colors and no patterns. So here are the 3 versions of the cards. I think they're all pretty cute, very different from each other, but not bad and really easy. Like, these all took very short period of time. It was just a matter of the cutting and gluing that was the most involved. Hopefully this will inspire you to make some fast Valentines or love cards as you need them with your Cricut Joy. Just remember to use lighter weight paper on the top layer, which is what I did here. The SVG that I used for this will be available as a free download through the end of February 2022, so February 28th, 2022. After that, I will hopefully have it for sale on a shop. We'll see. I would like to have a shop open by March 1st, 2022, but you never know. Things are not going well. So thank you so much. I hope I've inspired you a little bit. If you got something out of the video, I would really, really appreciate it if you could give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. That helps me out quite a bit with the YouTube algorithm. These videos do take quite a bit of time to compile, along with all the photos and instructions that go on the blog post. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that for me. And if you're interested, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel as well. Thank you so much. Have a great day.